live. You see they're dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the pilgrims were good and Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody.
All right, Bishop. Let me check your program out.
All right, sir.
You have a great weekend, okay?
All right, you too.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
it. What's happening, y'all, in the social media world? Let me get the good morning to you. Live on the air right now. I got a little Coltrane playing in the background, but I can't let it rock on social media because they be tripping. They be tripping and they'll shut my stream off. So if y'all want to hear all of the sounds, you're gonna have to go to WTCCFM.org to be able to follow along with some of the music. You'll hear most of it, but some songs I can't let rock on the live stream because they be tripping. But good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Tell a friend, tell somebody. Bishop is on the earth. Hey, Whit. Let me get my grammars. What's up, Instagram? Instagram just went live. Facebook Spaces live. It's been a minute since I've been on, man, and it's good to be back in the studio. Good to be back in the studio. For sure. Catch up on some things. I tell y'all what I've been doing. And catch up on the subjects of the day.
Higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, come on, come on, dig a little higher, come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Don't stop, come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change.
Like, share, subscribe, y'all. Them folks know I'm on the air right now.
Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today.
Close this door.
That determines your success or failure in life. It's the choices that you have made up to this point that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing enough is simply good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have the whole loaf. So push yourself, push beyond your limitations. Come on. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further. Don't stop, don't stop. Come on, reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. So you gotta break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no elevators to the top. You gotta take it one step at a time. You gotta break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're about the positive, you're gonna always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down, let your haters push you forward to the next level. So when people show you who they really are, don't perceive them to be something else that they're not. See, a zebra does not change his stripes. So you gotta keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah, there you go. Come on. Go a little deeper. Come on. Yeah. Go a little further. Go a little further. Don't stop. Come on. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Reach a little higher. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Don't stop. Come on. Come on. Come on. You got to understand that greatness is the nature that you were born out of. You'll never discover your greatness without hard work and dedication. Greatness says more about who you are and what you expect for yourself. And greatness will always attract greatness. Show me your friends, and I'll show you the future. The future. You're just a step away. You're just a step away.
DC IOTAs, I see y'all.
Give up. Come on.
What's up, my brothers?
You're just a step away. You're almost there. Come on. You gotta push yourself beyond your limitations. You see, there's no mountain too high, no valley too low. You can go where you want to go. It's all in the power of your imagination. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. So stretch yourself. Take yourself to the next level. Come on, come on, come on.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II, and welcome to the Black Love Experience. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. Been a couple weeks. Been doing some traveling, and y'all been hearing me, but I haven't been in the studio. I'm here now. I'm in the studio. I'll catch you up on what's been happening with me over the last couple weeks, and we'll get into some conversation that I think is important this morning. Welcome to each and every one of you, faithful listeners of the Black Love Experience. Good morning to State Rep Ben Swan, the creator and longtime host of the Black Love Experience. And to each of you that are in the field, in the Pioneer Valley, that are listening to us across our social media platforms. Good morning to you and yours. I hope you're enjoying your summer. Mine has been fantastic so far, and getting better. A lot of stuff going on. We got a lot to talk about. I'll be back on the air live on Monday on the Spoken Word, so we'll continue, our conversations because got some important stuff to chop up. Tell a friend, tell somebody the Bishop is on the air right now. 413-736-2781. I want to talk about this, the murder of O'Shea Sibley and the use of religion to justify violence. The use of religion to justify violence. I also want to deal with because that's important in and of itself. But I also want to deal with the disenchantment of Black voters as we fast approach. We're already in our municipal and state elections this year, but everyone's gearing up for the presidential election and national elections of 24 and what they hold. And I don't want y'all to be surprised. I want y'all to be surprised with the results that come down the pike. Black voters are becoming disenchanted with both political parties, and we'll talk about that as much as we can. And what we don't get to, we'll continue on Monday. 413-736-2781. 413-736-2781. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from, what part of the world you're coming in from. Houston is always in the house. The field is in the house. Well, wherever you're chiming in from, on whatever platform, let me know where you're chiming in from. I'm going to play a little clip from a message I preached in Atlanta this past week, as I was closing out the Iota Phi Theta conclave in the prayer breakfast. A lot of stuff happened, so I'll catch you up on all of that. I see you, H-Town. I see you. So tell a friend, tell somebody, share, like, subscribe, do all of that good stuff. Tell them, jump right in to this conversation. We'll be right back. Don't y'all go nowhere.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from, and hit, but it just made me stronger, and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
90.7 WTCC. I like what I see. That's Rhonda Swan, my late sister, who was the co-host of this program at the beginning of it more than 20 years ago, when we used to alternate Mondays. She'd be on a Monday, I'd be on a Monday. On occasion, we do them together. You can get all of her spoken word anywhere where you stream music. Check it out. She's got some good stuff out there. I think you'll enjoy it. Once again, 413-736-2781 is the number here. This summer has it's been fantastic for me. It's been a time of empowerment, inspiration, being able to spend time with family and friends and travel and do all that kind of stuff, and had a beautiful time on Martha's Vineyard, as we always do, with our family vacation, my wife and children and siblings and all of that. So we had a great time there. And prior to that even happening, I had two new grandbabies that were born. My daughter Erica welcomed my grandson Messiah into the world in April. And matter of fact, I'll be dedicating him on Sunday during our Sunday morning service. So Messiah came into the world. He missed my birthday in April, but I got another April grandbaby. So now me, my grandson Noah, and my grandson Messiah are the April babies. In June, my son Talbert and daughter-in-law welcomed Janiyah, my granddaughter, into the world. And then we were able to take a trip to the vineyard. Then I traveled with my son Lazine, who recently graduated from University of Massachusetts with his degree in architecture. Also, my daughter Erica graduated from Bay Path with a master's degree in mental health counseling. So it's been a very eventful summer for the Swan family. A lot of good things happening. So my son and I, he's also a member of my fraternity. He pledged my fraternity while he was at the University of Massachusetts. So he's a legacy member. And we traveled to the 60th anniversary conclave of Iota Phi Theta in Atlanta. Had a wonderful time. They're connected with so many brothers that hadn't seen in a while. And it was just a wonderful time of fellowship, and got a lot of business done for the fraternity, a lot of positive things happening. Got to spend some time with Dr. Hadia Nicole Green, a groundbreaking physicist who found a procedure and in the laboratory tests um, that the treatment that she discovered wipes away cancerous tumors in the lab animals that they've tested on, and they've got to raise money to go to human trials. It costs a lot of money, so she's trying to raise $10 million. She's turned down money from pharmaceutical companies that want to bankroll the human trials, but she does not want to compromise the treatment. She knows that if pharmaceutical companies get involved, then they are going to control the pricing, the treatment, all of that kind of stuff, and people who desperately need the treatment will be locked out. And she does not want to lock people out of this life-saving cancer treatment. So she's taken a full grassroots effort to raise this $10 million to go to human trials rather than let the pharmaceutical companies control it. So brilliant sister, physicist, doctor, and got to spend some good time with her. And our fraternity created a partnership with her and made a commitment to raise money and gave the first installment of our commitment during our conclave. So it was a very eventful time that we had there, as well as the other political things, voting on resolutions and those kinds of things. And then we just had some good old iota fun. I closed out by speaking at the prayer breakfast as the international chaplain and director of clergy. I gave a keynote address. I'll play a little bit of that for you, and got back from Atlanta and went straight to Boston for the National NAACP conference, which is hosted right here in Massachusetts. Sat through the resolutions plenary, voted on all of the things that needed to be voted on as a delegate. We had a delegation from the Springfield branch. Shout out to all of our Springfield delegates who were there at the NAACP National Convention. Frida Malone, our secretary, Kathy Swanson, our assistant secretary, Carolyn Roberson, our treasurer, Angela Thorpe, our third vice president, Bud Williams, Gloria Williams. So we had a nice contingency from Springfield who were present. Got to hang out with my wifey. She accompanied me to the Sping Arm Awards banquet, Freedom Fund banquet, that was held there. Every year, the Sping Arm Medal is given to someone who's made major achievements that has bettered Black life. And this year's recipient was the iconic Hazel Dukes, community activist. And give you an idea of people who have received second vice president. You're right, Angela. Okay, Angela. You're right. She is the second vice president. She used to be the third vice president. But in the last election in November of last year, she moved up to second vice president. So some of the folks who received that medal: Martin Luther King Jr., Harry Belafonte, Maya Angelou, very prestigious. So we were able to spend some time with Mom Dukes, as we call her, and to be part of that wonderful gala. I got to offer the invocation and the benediction. Got to hang out backstage with Kadeem Hardison and Jasmine Guy. Y'all know him as Dwayne and Whitley from A Different World. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. Got back home, and my granddaughter Roxy and her mom Shannon were here for the summer. Roxy starts school on Monday. You know, in Dallas they start very early, so they had to go home yesterday. So this is the first time I'm in the studio this summer without Roxy accompanying me. I miss her already. So got to hang out with them.
before they left. So we had a great time with my children and grandbabies came over the house and got to do granddaddy duty and daddy duty and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been a great time. My wife and I and my siblings will be going out to see the iconic KRS-One. Yeah, I said it. For y'all church folks on here judging me, I am going to see KRS-One, the teacher, tonight with my wife. The bishop will be in the house. So a lot of good things that's been happening this summer. And today as well is my daughter-in-law, Tracy, and my son, Tyler. I spoke with them on the way into the studio. They're on their way to the hospital now, and I'll be expecting Talia, a new granddaughter, today, sometime soon. So, lot of stuff been going on with me. What's been going on with you? Put it in the comment section. Let me know. 413-736-2781. I'll play a little bit of this clip, and then we get into this conversation. Don't y'all go nowhere, okay?
Got it.
Come on, doctor. Y'all have to hear me. Can you hear me? Preach. All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pastor Murray. What a beautiful sight to see you all here this morning. And what a wonderful conclave we have had. We all celebrate the entire conclave today. Brother Sean Housen, Grand Vice Polaris, Brother Covington, our Executive Director, Conclave Chair, and everybody that worked together to make this happen. Celebrate yourselves one more time. I'm happy today to have my son here, my legacy brother, who crossed during the pandemic in 2020. And although he came to the virtual conclave with me in 21, this is his first time being able to experience this. So, Brother Lazine Swan, wave your hand and y'all say, hey, my son. Hey. Now, they say that a sermon ought to be like a woman's skirt. Short enough to pique and keep your interest, yet long enough to cover the essentials. The text that Reverend Dixon read, 1 Kings 18:15 to 19, I want to read it again out of the Message Bible. It says, Elijah said, surely as God lives, before whom I take my stand, I'll meet with your master face to face this very day. So Obadiah went straight to Ahab and told him. And Ahab went out to meet Elijah. The moment Ahab saw Elijah, he said, so it's you old troublemaker. It's not I who caused trouble in Israel, said Elijah, but you and your government. You've dubbed God's ways and commands and run off after the local gods. Here's what I want you to do. Assemble everyone in Israel at Mount Carmel and make sure the special pets of Jezebel, the 450 prophets of Baal, and the 450 prophets of the goddess Asherah are there. I want to preach from this subject, and since I'm a coaching pastor, we're going to do things coaching style every now and then.
That's all right. That's
So
all right.
Look at somebody, participatory sermon. Look them in the eye, and if you own some money and can't look them in the eye, look at the bridge of their nose. And say, we should have learned something by now.
Learn something about that.
My Lord.
learned something by now. The role of the black faith community, black organizations, black social clubs, black fraternities and sororities throughout the history of America has been that of leading in the fight for social justice and civil and human rights. The fact that these institutions have not just struggled for black people, but for all people is profound. Prolonged endeavor of our organizations in the area of civil rights, coupled with the mission to serve the poor, the disenfranchised, to give spiritual and emotional guidance to its constituents, while simultaneously being the moral conscience of a country that has resisted racial equality, is a powerful accomplishment. It's quite amazing that our ancestors were taught a form of bastardized religion that would make them better tools of service for their oppressors. Yet they adopted a theology of liberation that would not accept scriptures like slaves be obedient to your masters as a directive to remain in bondage. They developed a philosophy that supported the eradication of the racist institutions that kept them from being free, as God desired for them to be. Africans like Nat Turner and Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, translated their understanding of Scripture into a justified battle for emancipation against oppression. They used secret texts as an example of the fact that God intended for them to be free. They sang songs that led their slave masters to believe that they were just happy, but they were singing in code, and they didn't even know what they were saying. They would sing, "Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land."
Yes.
They weren't talking about Egypt. They were talking about Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Missouri. Tell old Pharaoh. They weren't talking about Pharaoh. They were talking about Master Swan, Master Bennett, Master Smith. Let my people go. And although our institutions have often been criticized for their focus on a better existence, what some call the pie in the sky theology, we can't ignore the fact that they have played an active role in the anti-oppression of our people and the emancipation of everyone. The training ground for leaders has always been found in the black church, in black organizations, in black social clubs, black entities dedicated to our upliftment, and few other institutions were open to up-and-coming leaders of our community. And so we are the proving ground for where our leaders and activists cut their teeth and gained their skills and ability. The struggle for justice in a nation where the social, political, and economic structures have always been dominated by a white supremacist mentality required institutions that were independent and strong enough to challenge America's racist ideology. They had to see beyond the distortions and grasp the true meaning of liberation and become institutions for the liberation of our people. And the fact that our ancestors believed that God would bring their oppressors to justice gave them the strength to endure the hardships that they had to deal with and the courage to fight against unbeatable odds. Though they were treated as less than humans, they believed that God created all persons really to be equal, even though those who were the framers and the writers of the sacred documents of this nation never believed that what they were actually saying. Because the institution that they put together violated the human dignity and human personality that God would have everyone to share and enjoy. And so our ancestors discovered these great contradictions between the scriptures that taught them how they were to live. There was something contradictory about being able to hang black folk on Saturday night and praise Jesus on Sunday morning. They saw the the contradictions between what folks said and what folks actually did.
Yeah.
And we've got to understand that as we stand as living epistles that can be read, because the old folks used to say, I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. That the generation coming up behind us are not just listening to what we say, but they are watching what we do. And so our community has always found refuge in our institutions. When they were denied a decent wage to support their families, when they were abused by authority figures and prohibited from voting and denied the right to exercise their gifts and talents in favor of less talented white folks. We have always had our needs met in black spaces that have had the audacity to recognize our full humanity. After emancipation, it was the black church that took on the important task of educating the newly freed slave. It was the churches that black colleges were conceived in and given birth to, became the center for black life. It was the school, the social center, the meeting place, the house of worship. Many of our civil rights organizations that came into being had their roots in our faith communities. Members of our sororities and fraternities have been heavily involved in social justice movements, like women's suffrage movement, civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. We've made significant strides to unite black communities across the nation. And may I suggest to you that from the time we landed here on the shores of Southern Virginia, that there have always been institutions in our communities that have had the anointed audacity and the theological temerity to write our own dictionary. We have never let somebody else define who we are. And we've got to continue to embody the spirit of Kuji Chakalia, to define ourselves, name ourselves, speak for ourselves, as opposed to letting someone else define us, speak for us, or tell us who we are. We've got to continue to unite in holy wedlock, spiritual anointing, and social activism. Because the history of our faith is to be unbought and unbossed. We have dared to speak truth to power and then give the truth to those that are powerless so they can be set free. And for all that we've done, all that we have meant to our community, to the nation, and to the world, we cannot allow others to now narrowly define the circumference of our activity to tell us to stay out of the affairs of the city, the state, the government, tell us what to preach, how to live, when to move, or where to go. We've got to define ourselves. Because it's men and women of faith that fought against all of the forms of oppression that we've had to endure. And so we've learned some things after all of this time, after 400 plus years of our sojourn in this land that still refuses to accept our full humanity. We've learned some things. After 246 years of chattel slavery and 158 years of segregation, brutalization, dehumanization, and mass incarceration, we've learned some things. After 60 years as a fraternity, we've learned some things. Look at your neighbor and say, what is he talking about that we learned?
What are you talking about?
Glad you asked. Look in this text. Elijah, the prophet, comes before a wicked king named Ahab. He and his wife had, Jezebel had turned the nation upside down, inside out. They had a corrupt government. The people were going through oppression. And Elijah comes and Elijah speaks a prophecy. And he says, it ain't going to rain till I say so. Come on. And here's the thing. When Elijah comes to Ahab and tells him it's not going to rain, God never told him to tell Ahab that. He just spoke it. And the scripture says, and then he went and prayed earnestly that it might not rain. In other words, he said, Lord, now don't embarrass me because I put my word out there. And sometimes you just got to speak those things that be not as though they were, understanding that God will undergird and back up what you say. And so God shut up the heavens for 3.5 years. And so the king calls for Elijah because now he wants to have a conversation because there's a drought in the land. And folk are looking at him sideways because of what's happening across Israel. And so when he sees Elijah, he looks at him and he says to Elijah, "Oh, you troublemaker." Now, what had Elijah been guilty of? Well, first of all, Elijah was called a troublemaker. First of all, and here's one thing that we've learned or should learn, Elijah was conscious of his identity. You see, that's what the black church has tried to teach us. That's what the fraternity has tried to teach us. That's what our organizations and institutions have tried to teach us, to be conscious of who we are. And you ought to be conscious of who you are as a people. You ought to know who you are, and you ought to know whose you are. Let me see if I can make it plain. The text says that Ahab called Elijah a troublemaker. And Elijah instead remains true to his name. And he says, "I'm not the one making trouble. It's you and your corrupt government making trouble. I know who I am, and I'm going to define myself for myself." And so Elijah employs the notion of Kuji Chakalia to define himself, and he says, "My name is Elijah." And Elijah simply means, watch this, God is Yahweh. Elijah means God is I am. Y'all still don't get it on this side. I guess I got to take you back to the scripture, Moses, chapter 3 of Exodus, because the Bible says Moses on the backside of the desert doing his thing as a shepherd, when all of a sudden there's a bush that's burning, but it ain't burning up. And the book says that God spoke to him from the bush and told him to go tell Pharaoh to let my people go. He said, "If I go tell Pharaoh to let your people go, I got to tell him who you are. So what is your name?" And God says, "Just tell him that I am." See, because I can't give you my name, because if I give you one name, that's going to limit me. My name should always be determined by what needs you find yourself against. My name will be determined by the situation that you find yourself in. You see, sometimes I'm Elohim. Sometimes I'm El Shaddai. Sometimes I'm El Elyon. Sometimes I'm Jehovah Jireh, because I'm your provider. Sometimes I'm Jehovah Nissi, because I've got to be your banner. Sometimes you're in turmoil, and I have to be Jehovah Shalom. I've got to be the God of peace. So when you're hungry, I'll be your bread. When you're thirsty, I'll be your water. When you're stuck like Chuck and you need a way out of no way, I'll get you out of no way, because I am. Whatever you need me to be.
All right, 90.7 WTCC. It gets gooder. The last 15 minutes or so of the message. You can check it out on our YouTube channel, 413-736-2781. So somebody posted the story of O'Shea Sibley in the comment section for those of you who are unfamiliar with it. And a gay black man who went to the Beyonce concert was dancing. He was dancing with some other gay black men. And then the group was confronted by a group of men. It turned violent, and he was stabbed to death. Okay. Now, you know, it wasn't just an act of random violence because they targeted them. It's reported that the men said that they were Muslims and that
that it was offensive. It was offensive for them to be dancing like that. And not only was it offensive for them to be dancing like that, they had to stop and turned violent, and Sibley was stabbed to death. Here's my thing. Here's my thing. It doesn't matter what you feel about the morality of other people, how their lifestyle jives with your religious beliefs. That's well and good. It may not. The way somebody lives may not be in sync with what you believe, what your viewpoints on homosexuality or any other topic are. Your religion does not give you the right to exact violence on anyone. There's nowhere in sacred text, whether it be the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Septuagint, that says that you are to take any matters into your own hand, and you're to stop people from living a particular way. You are to force them to do something else. Even God doesn't do that. Because in your sacred text, God says, I set before you two ways. Here's a way that leads to everlasting life. Here's a way that leads to eternal damnation. And I give you the choice. So if God doesn't force people to live according to how we interpret sacred texts, why do you think he authorizes you to do it? Why would anyone think it's an authorization for them to make people conform to what they think, what they interpret, how they believe? And you have the right to believe whatever you want to believe about whatever you want to believe it about. You have that right. You have the right to subscribe to the doctrinal teachings of your particular church or denomination or religion or whatever. That's fine. But here's what you have to understand. That's what's supposed to guide your life. I want to help some of y'all. I want to help some folks from even my own religious persuasion, that what we believe is a guideline for how we are to live our lives. It's not a warrant for you to serve on other people who you perceive are not living in accordance with those principles. And quite honestly, most of us that ascribe to any particular religious belief, doctrinal principles, have a hard enough time complying with what we say we believe, have a hard enough time walking in line with what we say our belief system is. We have a hard enough time doing it ourselves, let alone trying to force somebody else to do it. Good morning, caller.
It gets possible that the thing about the children and all this misdeeds. Is it possible that America is an example because this is supposed to be a Christian country, but yet and still all of this rapid mess going over here, all of that hanging in the past, all of this going in people's houses, pulling them out here to hang them. I mean, and because we think like we think.
I'm trying to follow your question. What can you make it more succinct? Just get to the question you're trying to ask me.
Yeah. You were speaking about this guy getting killed, and you said that it were Muslims that did it. I mean, look at the and all this and the
All right. Well, I appreciate your call. I'm not sure what you're trying to get at. I don't think you really know either. But yeah, this ain't a Christian nation. It never was. You know, that's a complete misnomer, you know, from the beginning for people to even call it a Christian nation. It was never built on Christian principles. It was built on white supremacy, subjugation, genocide, murder, enslavement, all of that kind of stuff. So later for that, this is a Christian nation stuff. The point that I was trying to get to is most people who ascribe to any religious set of values have a hard enough time complying with them themselves, let alone trying to make other folks who don't share their religious values comport to them. Our Bibles, our Qurans, our Torahs are not warrants for us to arrest other people based on how they choose to live their lives. I'm a Christian. The Bible is my sacred text. And that Bible says that God gives people choice. And if God gives them choice, who am I to take that choice away from them? Who am I to say this is the punishment that they should face right here on earth? If we're all going to be judged by God after we transition, then let God do the judging. Let him do that. If there's going to be a punishment, let God do the punishing or the rewarding. It's not up to us to exact any type of violence or punishment on anybody because they don't live the way we think they ought to live. And so I don't care what your belief is about homosexuality. As a Christian, a Muslim, a Jew, whatever it is, your religious beliefs ought to compel you to condemn what happened to O'Shea Sibley, regardless of what you feel about his lifestyle. The underlying factor is he was God's child. He was a human being who had a right to live and not to be murdered because he didn't comport to what any Muslim, Christian, or anyone else thought that they should do. That's the point. And if you, as a Christian, cannot have the compassion to see this as injustice, as hate, as unchristian, ungodly, then there's something wrong with your religion. Amia Hampton, you're in the space. Good morning. 413-736-2781. Good morning, sis.
Can you hear me? I can barely hear you.
I can hear you. Good morning. Okay, you went back on mute. All right, I'll pull somebody else up in. I think she was having some technical difficulties. Let me get Black Drill. Black Drill, you got the microphone.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone here. I didn't really come in to speak, but I just came in to listen. But you know what? It's a very interesting topic, and I believe in humanity, Bishop.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what religion, race, sexual orientation, or whatever. I believe in humanity. I've lived around this world in 6 different countries, and I've seen it from multiple different perspectives. One thing that we need to understand as melanated people, we can classify ourselves in many different categories, but the world sees us as one singular melanated people, and we're all treated the same. So unity, until we get to the place where we can unify and work together collectively, effectively, we're going to be talking about these same things, Bishop. Thank you very much, sir. Have a blessed day.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Let me see. I'm trying to get Amia back in here. Good morning, sis. You got the microphone.
Hey, Bishop, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can.
I don't know if I'm butting in. Okay. I was going to say congratulations on your new little grandbaby, soon to be born.
Thank you.
And we did see Roxy doing the weather.
Right.
And family dynamics. But what I'm about to say is very controversial, and you might even block me after this, but I want us to get back to our hoodoo roots. Meaning, it's time to hex these people out of office. It's time to hex them out of office. We have the faith. We do know that faith without works is dead. We have the faith. So it's time to give them this work. Meaning, I am willing to voodoo, hex some people out of office. It's time. We have done everything else but these things. We have got it out the mud time and time again. We have built Black Wall Streets. We have loved on one another, but yet we are too sweet of a people, too kind-hearted. Instead of going high when they go low, it's time to go low as well. It's time to drag these fuckers to hell. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right. Well. All right. Let me see. Let me get in here. Untouchable Jay, my friend from Connecticut. You got
yes,
the mic.
Sir, Bishop. Good morning. Great
that?
Broadcast. Congratulations on 60 years to your fraternity.
Thank you,
the
sir.
Brothers are up in 20. We're up in 24. We'll be in Tampa.
All right.
All right. You know, I just want to say to the topic, you know, I just wonder for our people if we realized where our progress is or is not. Last time we were up for presidential election, there was a large mass of us that were talking about withholding our vote, and there was even a larger mass of us that was against that.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, where the presidential candidates on both sides are lacking greatly. We're looking at Ron DeSantis' issues in Florida, and we need to come up with something. And the division part is not it, because to the LGBTQ brothers and sisters, you are Black first.
There you go.
As you see in these situations, you are not gay first, you are Black first, because the gay community, the LGBTQ community does not come out and say anything when these things happen.
There you go. That, and
Yes,
that point right there is poignant, because and this isn't the first time where a Black person in the LGBTQ community was abused, violated, or whatever, and the broader community sat quietly and did and said nothing.
Right. They conveniently do nothing, you know. But again, we'll pander to them. Our LGBTQ brothers are on the forefront for so much for that community, and when something happens, they do nothing. So it has to be black first. We're all under that banner. We're all under a anti-black system, and we need to start understanding that, and then worry everything else. Reparations first, be one first, brother. Thank you again. God bless.
All right, take care. 413-736-2781 is the number here. Raina, you got the microphone.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to, first off, say I totally agree with what you were saying. It is so sickening that
Oh, did I lose you, Raina? I think I may have lost you. I heard you say it's so sickening. All right, I think we lost Raina. Maybe we can get her back before we close out of here. Let me see. M1, you got the microphone.
Hello. Good afternoon, Bishop Swan.
Good morning. How are you?
Good afternoon. So I just want to say this is we black people, we just need to I don't think this liberal conservative stuff, I don't think white people should be in many of these movements. I think that's the liberal and conservative movement is for white people. Because when we look at both movements are actually anti-black. Look at Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, a black man that got lynched, and instantly she was given an excuse for it, and that's not even a Republican. We are the Republican governor, Ron DeSantis, saying that Jordan Neely deserved to get killed. So I just don't think that both parties are for black people. That black people should just withhold their vote because we've been disrespected long enough. The Asians, they don't even make up to 5% of this country's population, but they get so much privilege and benefits. And I just want to say these Asian people are the biggest agents of white supremacy. They are the worst people.
All right. Let me see if I can get a couple more in real quick. Raina, I'm going to try to get you back on because you got cut off. You got the mic. Raina going once. All right. We tried to get you in, sis. We tried. I tried. Straight 8, no chaser. Straight, no chaser. You got the mic. Come on, straight, no chaser. All right, you must be chasing something. Let's see. Tatka, we're going to try to get you in here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, who's speaking?
Takat.
All right. Good morning. How are you?
How you doing? Good morning. Hi, everybody. Good morning. As a person of African descent, a black person raised in Charleston, South Carolina, I have seen forefront. I had many family members, friends, my kids, my grandkids' best librarian gunned down in Emmanuel Church. Don't tell me that they're still not using religion to justify killing us and doing away with us.
For sure.
They, under the Bible, they do all sorts of things to demean and just try to wipe us off the face of this earth. And what they're angry about is because the littlest things that they give us, we have been able to survive. But we refuse to see ourselves. We refuse to see what they are so much hateful about us. We refuse to see it in ourselves. We are great.
All right. I appreciate that. Raina, you got the last shot. You got the last bite at the apple. I gotta move on, and I'll be back on Monday. We'll continue this on. Raina, you got the mic.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, what I was saying is it's sickening that too many people of faith use that faith to justify violence.
Mm-hmm.
Like faith is supposed to bring you to a higher level of yourself.
And here's the thing, Raina. Here's the thing, Raina. I have a real issue with, as Black people, the fact that religion was used to enslave, brutalize, subjugate, and dehumanize us, for us to then take religion and use it as an excuse to justify violence against other people for whatever reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's my
So
problem. I appreciate you, sis. I got to move out the way. Angela Thorpe, the second vice president of the NAACP, is coming up next with Mid-Morning Jazz, great Black music. I'll be back with you Monday. We didn't get into the Black voters feeling apathetic around this upcoming election. We'll get to that we'll continue this conversation on Monday on the Spoken Word at 9:00 a.m. So please stay tuned on Monday. All right. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. The Brick Church right there at 6 Corners, 11:00 a.m. Good way to start out your Sunday. There'll be prayer, praise, and preaching. We're building better tomorrows by changing lives today. I'm out of here. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember God loves you, and so do I. All right, peace to Graham. I'm out.
Notice I stayed over here this time. I don't want to make no film debris. Thank you very much.